everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Shiro Jugada, and as you can read in the title, I'll be cooking Njahi, aka black beans, and I'll have my boyfriend try it and we'll see what he thinks. And if you're a Kenyan, you know we make a lot of fun about Njahi. Njahi is black beans, if you don't understand. And I'll read a few memes. Like the first one that was very funny was like, kusema ukweli, Njahi zinafaa kuuzwa kwa hardware. Like, honestly speaking, Njahi or black beans should be sold at the hardware. I don't think they're that hard, to be honest. If you pressure cook them, like for example, I pressure cooked mine, they are very messy if you're not, if you don't know the level of water that you should put them. But if you pressure cook them, they should be soft. The other one was like, for what other reason are you in therapy apart from being force-fed Njahi? I don't think it's that bad. And then someone else posted showing people protesting, and one of the boards were written, Njahi, aka black beans, is not human food. Let's see what my boyfriend thinks. Tips: you'll need Vaseline. This is a tip I got from my grandmother because I'm going to be using plantain instead of potatoes to mash them. And to peel your plantain, you might get the gel from, the gel from the plantain can stick to your hands, and it leaves this like weird residue. So Vaseline helps. And then we'll get right into the cooking. So guys, to start off, I'll do the grandma life-saving tip of applying Vaseline in my hands, especially so if your plantain is green and sticky, you don't want your hands to have that sticky glue at the end of the peeling, because I forgot to restock on the gloves. And with my bananas, with my plantain, I bought them 2 or 3 days before so that they can ripen. The near ripe bananas usually give it a taste of that borders sweetness to being sour, and that makes the food really nice. So I'm gonna cut it into pieces, and it doesn't matter the sizes that you cut, whether small or big, because at the end of it you are going to mash them. So guys, before we continue, what is your guess? Do you think he's going to go to Kismayu, as Kenyans say, to fight, or is he going to stay for the meal? Also, I added potatoes into my mix. You can do this or you can just use ripe bananas, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I added my potatoes. Now I have my washed potatoes and bananas, or plantain if you like, and I'll chop my onions. I chopped my onions. Then I fry them. Now guys, you have to, for me, I like being generous with the cooking oil because first of all, I feel like bananas take up a lot of oil, and this is the dish that you want to be a little generous. Don't go overboard, but also add more than you add for your normal food. With my black beans, I usually mash them, and you have to cook them really well. And one tip for the black beans is soaking them for like 30 minutes to 1 hour before cooking them, and also you can pressure cook them for at least 1 hour, and that makes it soft. And when you're mashing them, you have to have them moist to make the mashing easy. When you mash them, it's more easy to blend them with the bananas after the bananas are cooked as compared to mashing them inside the bananas, if that makes sense at all. So I mash them separately and then add them to my bananas, cooked bananas. Now, when the onions are golden brown, I added my potatoes first. Reason: potatoes are harder than the bananas. Remember, my bananas were almost ripe. So I cooked my potatoes first, and you guys can see the reason I told you have to be a little generous with the oil. See the color of my onions and potatoes, golden brown, and the oil might look a little bit too much because of the 3, 4, 5 pieces of potatoes inside, but then when I add my bananas, you realize it's not a lot of oil. So I added my bananas and stirred. You can stir until your bananas take up the onions and the oils. And getting to this point, I also have this spice, coconut milk. I am not a fan of coconut. In fact, I don't even eat coconut, but this milk tastes good on almost everything. Trust you me, guys, everything. You can add this to your beans, you can add this to your everything you can think of. This milk, it takes this taste from 0 to 100. Also, I spice my food. There are some standard spices that I use for almost everything. Talk about black pepper, paprika, sometimes curry also. And also I add salt, of course. That's a standard for everything. I know some people are like, oh, spices causes diseases, spices. I am not a subscriber of that gospel. I think spices add taste to the food. And I think they are natural herbs that are ground. So I don't subscribe to the gospel of spices causing diseases. So I spice my food. And also after spicing it, I stir it and let it cook. So stir it and let it cook for 5 to 7 minutes. Look at the color of the milk, guys. You can eat this at this point, but I added my mashed my mashed beans, and let it cook for a little bit, and then removed it. At this point, it's very easy to mash them because the bananas are ripe and the beans are mashed. Also, there are some people who drain the gravy at this point. For me, I like to mash it with the gravy because it makes it easy to mash. And also, you can regulate the extent to which you want, like the consistency of your food. When you mash them at this point without draining the gravy, you can also, if you think it's so slidey, you can take it back to the oven to cook it. To the cooker to cook it to the point, to the consistency that you want. But if you drain it, I find it tiresome to add water. So I prefer just mashing it. And then if I want a certain consistency, I'll take it back to the cooker and cook it for a while turning it. And also this food, you can't eat it once. So the slimy it is, the easier it is for you to store it. Now, I made some stew for this. You can eat it with vegetables, you can eat it with just by itself, but I also make this sauce which is purely homemade. This is a mixture of tomatoes, garlic and vinegar, and I blend it to just make the sauce that is really nice. Now I had pork for this. I wanted pork stew. For my pork, I start by steam cooking it. I like steam cooking my pork before adding anything else to it. So after steam cooking it for some time and it starts looking brown, now I added my onions and also I added my oil. With this one, I don't have to add a lot of oil because the pork itself has oil. So I added the oil and covered it and let it cook for some time. After that, I stir it and I go back to my standard spices: salt, black pepper, cumin also goes well with almost everything, paprika, my standard spices, and curry. Stir your spices. I like that look of it. And then I added my paste. This is natural, homemade, and it's really sweet. And also for people who know how vinegar tastes, it gives you that burning taste that is really nice. You can't even get away from that plate. I'm telling you, it was really good. So after cooking for 5 to 7 minutes, this is the result. I didn't want to drain my sauce completely because I was eating it with my Mukimo, which is dry. So I needed some soup or gravy, if you want, to serve it with my Mukimo. And this is the final product of what we were going to eat. Don't mind my messy kitchen. I am kind of messy with my cooking sometimes, and I stain my cooker here and there, so don't mind it. And now time to serve and find out what my boyfriend thinks about my Mukimo Njahi. And yeah, I think we are so close to the long awaited moment of seeing whether this boy is going to kiss Mayu.
Okay, so now it's time to try. Okay.
You like it?
Okay, let me try this one.
Okay.
Pork. Okay, I'm going.
Bye.